picture this for a second. You are 16 years old. You are walking out the school doors for the absolute last time.
Okay.
You have zero qualifications in your pocket.
None at all.
Zero money to your name. But if you fast forward a few decades, you are a highly successful multimillionaire.
I mean, it sounds like a movie script or, a highly exaggerated social media post from one of those self-proclaimed gurus.
Right.
But it's actually the real-life starting point of the source material we are exploring today.
Yeah, and the goal of this deep dive isn't to, hand you some magical get-rich-quick scheme.
No, definitely not.
We are looking at a survival guide. It's a highly specific framework from a self-made entrepreneur detailing the behavioral pitfalls that actively prevent people from building real wealth.
Yes.
It's essentially a what-to-avoid playbook.
Which is so refreshing because most financial advice is heavily prescriptive.
Totally.
It tells you to buy this specific index fund or invest in this neighborhood or leverage that tax loophole.
Right, the usual step-by-step stuff.
Exactly. But this framework focuses almost entirely on your psychology. It demands a really high level of self-awareness from you, the listener. Because the obstacles between you and financial independence aren't usually macroeconomic shifts. They are your own daily choices.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the author's background is unconventional, to say the least.
Oh, for sure.
He goes from being a 16-year-old dropout with nothing to building a best-selling global brand of radio-controlled planes.
Which is just wild on its own.
Right. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he starts a highly successful YouTube channel at age 53.
Yeah.
He is living proof that success absolutely does not have to follow a traditional timeline.
No, not at all.
But his journey begins with a major psychological pivot regarding how we actually view work.
Yeah. He asks us to evaluate two distinct approaches to building a career. So path A is the comfortable, socially acceptable route.
The one we're all told to take.
Right. You land a secure, well-paid job. You start stacking cash immediately. Your friends are impressed by your apartment. Your parents are relieved. But the mechanism behind path A contains a hidden flaw.
And what's that?
You are trading time directly for a set amount of money. Because there are only so many hours in a day, your earning potential naturally plateaus. You hit a ceiling that you just cannot work your way through.
Contrast that with Path B, which is prioritizing long-term growth over immediate cash.
Yes.
For the first few years on Path B, you are struggling. You might even have trouble paying basic bills.
Which is terrifying for most people.
It is. The people around you are likely questioning your life choices too. But because Path B prioritizes the acquisition of leverage, specifically through high-income skills and equity, the earning curve eventually goes exponential.
And the author lived this dynamic firsthand.
He really did.
When he left school at 16, he actually had 5 different job offers on the table.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But instead of taking the one with the highest starting salary, he actively chose to become a carpenter's apprentice.
Which paid basically nothing, right?
Yeah. The pay was abysmal. And on top of that, he was relentlessly bullied by a toxic manager. It's the point where he eventually had to quit.
That sounds awful. But the critical takeaway here is that he never regretted the choice.
Exactly.
He wasn't there for the comfort or the paycheck. He was there to extract the skills.
Yeah.
Decades later, he is still using the structural and design principles he learned in that dusty carpentry shop to engineer his best-selling radio-controlled planes.
It's amazing.
He prioritized the underlying capability over the immediate reward.
And translating that to today's digital economy, the author explicitly points toward modern high-leverage skills. Things like copywriting, video editing, and coding.
Yeah, I look at acquiring those skills less like climbing a corporate ladder and more like building a Swiss Army knife. Or, building compound interest for your capabilities.
Oh, I like that.
Right. If you learn copywriting, you understand human psychology and persuasion. When you layer video editing on top of that, your edits are suddenly far more engaging because you know how to pace a narrative. Then you learn to code, and you can build software tools that automate the distribution of those videos.
Right. The skills don't just add up, they multiply each other.
Exactly. You become an entire production agency in one person.
What's fascinating here is how he connects that compounding skill set directly to acquiring equity.
Oh, yes.
We all know that true wealth comes from owning a piece of the profit engine, whether that is starting a business from scratch, buying into one, or earning sweat equity.
Earning sweat equity being the most viable path for someone just starting out, right? provided they actually have that multiplied skill set we just talked about.
Precisely. And the author offers a massive reality check on this process.
He does.
He references his friend, Simon Squibb, who frequently goes viral for encouraging young people to simply march into their boss's office and demand equity.
Yeah, I've seen those videos.
Right. And the author agrees with the ultimate goal, but points out a fatal flaw in how people interpret it.
You can't just demand ownership because you show up on time.
Exactly. You must have the self-awareness to become someone worthy of equity first.
Meaning, you have to prove tangibly that your skills are generating new revenue that wouldn't exist without you.
Yes. A 16-year-old apprentice sweeping floors isn't getting equity in the carpentry business.
Right. You have to build an undeniable case.
You do. You need to approach a business owner and say, I use my coding and copywriting skills to build a new sales funnel for you, and it increased revenue by 20% this month. I want 10% of that new growth going forward.
Wow.
That is how you acquire sweat equity. You create the value first.
But, once you actually start executing on that level and the money begins to flow, a dangerous psychological hurdle appears.
Yeah.
The illusion of arrival.
Yes.
The moment people get a taste of real revenue, they fall into the modern flexing game.
And the visual representation of this is everywhere.
We all know the aesthetic. Cruising down the sun-drenched streets of Dubai in a rented yellow Lamborghini, pulling up to a swanky restaurant, maybe Salt Bay's place, and casually ordering a $500 gold leaf steak.
It's ridiculous.
It's the desperate need to signal to the world that you have made it.
Well, the author pulls back the curtain on this lifestyle, and the underlying data is sobering.
Yeah.
The grim reality is that a massive percentage of the people projecting that image are suffocating under consumer debt.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
They are putting those Dubai vacations on high-interest credit cards. They are leasing cars that consume half their monthly income.
Insane.
They are prioritizing a social media aesthetic over the quiet, unglamorous mechanics of actual wealth accumulation.
And the stats provided in the source material put this into short perspective.
They really do.
37% of Americans cannot afford an unexpected $400 expense.
Wow.
39% worry constantly about paying their basic bills, and 60% can't even buy a new car.
Right.
The temptation to play the flexing game is like a gravitational pull, but yielding to it destroys your capital. Yeah. The rule is rigid. You must deploy your capital into appreciating assets, first stocks, real estate, business acquisitions, and let the cash flow from those assets purchase the luxury later.
Because chasing that luxury lifestyle early on is fundamentally rooted in arrogance, which the author labels a silent wealth killer.
Okay, I'm struggling to see the practical application of humility here, though.
How so?
Let me push back on this a bit. In modern business, especially when you are pitching clients for that sweat equity we mentioned, isn't fake it till you make it a necessary strategy? Don't you need a certain level of arrogance and ego just to get your foot in the door and command respect?
Well, confidence is required to execute a pitch, but arrogance is believing you already know everything required to succeed.
I see the distinction.
The author dismantles the fake it till you make it myth using the iceberg principle.
Okay.
Arrogance keeps you hyper-focused on the tiny tip of the iceberg visible above the water. The end goal, the money, the status.
Right.
But true wealth requires the humility to acknowledge the massive, unseen chunk of knowledge hidden beneath the surface.
The daily, unglamorous grind of actually learning the mechanics of a business?
Exactly. And more importantly, learning from others.
Right.
If you are driven by ego, you systematically dismiss advice. You assume you are too intelligent to listen to people who have spent decades walking the path you are just starting on.
Yeah.
You lose your curiosity. And the moment you stop asking questions, your capacity to adapt dies.
And when arrogance blinds you to your own blind spots, the inevitable consequence is isolation.
For sure.
You start believing you don't need anyone else, which introduces a massive structural flaw to building wealth, the lone wolf mentality.
Yes.
The author makes it abundantly clear that nobody reaches the upper echelons of business alone.
The historical precedent for this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
The source uses Elon Musk as the prime example. The prevailing media narrative often paints Musk as a singular lone wolf genius who willed his empire into existence entirely on his own.
Which just isn't true.
No, the reality is that his foundational wealth was built as part of a highly collaborative network.
The PayPal mafia.
Exactly. When eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion in 2002, That core group of founders and early employees didn't just take their money and retreat to private islands.
Right.
They operated as a collective ecosystem. They spread across the tech industry, constantly advising each other, sharing talent, and pooling their capital to invest in each other's new ventures.
Wow.
That single network went on to build YouTube, Yelp, LinkedIn, and SpaceX. It was a masterclass in the multiplying power of a collective.
But how does the listener apply that power if they aren't, embedded in Silicon Valley?
That's a good question.
If you just want to build a profitable side hustle or a small agency,
Right.
how do you leverage a collective without a billion-dollar exit?
Well, the source provides a highly tactical workaround for this exact scenario,
Okay.
bridging the generational tech gap.
Oh, this is a brilliant mechanism for generating wealth.
Isn't it?
Think about established, older business owners in your local community.
Mm-hmm.
They have the capital. They have the hard-won industry knowledge.
Yes.
They have a loyal existing customer base.
Yes.
What they lack is digital fluency.
Exactly.
They are entirely lost when it comes to integrating AI, managing distributed teams, or optimizing online sales funnels.
Because the tools required to scale in the modern economy didn't exist when they laid the foundation of their companies.
Right. So instead of trying to build a new business from scratch and fighting for market share, you partner with them.
You become the missing piece of their collective.
Yes. The author gives a specific real-time example of this using an all-in-one management platform called Odoo.
Yeah, he finds a local gardening business with a digital storefront that looks like a relic from 2005.
We've all seen those websites.
Oh, yeah. The site is clunky, hard to navigate, and certainly isn't optimized for mobile or search engines.
And using Odoo, he completely modernizes their entire operation in about 30 minutes.
That's crazy.
He uses their e-commerce application, drops in the business's existing logo, and the software automatically generates a cohesive branded color palette. He utilizes integrated AI tools to rewrite the static product descriptions into persuasive copy and uses simple drag-and-drop features to structure the layout.
Right.
In half an hour, he builds a highly functional, conversion-optimized digital storefront.
But the mechanism of wealth creation here isn't just handing over a pretty website for a one-time fee.
No, it's about structural integration.
Yes.
By bringing that business into the 21st century, you position yourself to negotiate a monthly retainer to manage their new backend. Or better yet, you negotiate a percentage of the increased online sales your system generates.
Exactly.
You use your compounding skills to solve a major operational bottleneck for someone who cannot do it alone. You form a two-person collective.
However, actively seeking out networks and mentors introduces a very real paradox in this framework. We are advising the listener to build a team and absorb advice from veterans. But simultaneously, we have to navigate the danger of cognitive overload.
Yeah, I am actually struggling with the practical application here.
Okay.
If I'm supposed to build a network and seek out advice, but I also need to avoid getting overwhelmed by everyone's opinions, how do I know whose advice to actually listen to without my brain just shutting down?
Well, the author describes cognitive overload as standing in the center of a room with 100 people shouting different directions at you.
Sounds stressful.
It is. One mentor says you need to focus entirely on B2B sales. Another says you need to build a personal brand on TikTok.
Right.
Your parents are telling you to just get a safe corporate job. The sheer volume of conflicting pathways creates severe decision paralysis.
The brain literally cannot process the variable outcomes, so
Yes.
it defaults to doing nothing.
And tragically, society often mislabels this neurological freeze response as laziness.
Oh, that's so true.
You aren't lacking ambition. Your processing bandwidth is just maxed out by noise.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, how do we systematically filter that noise?
The author's solution is a process of reverse engineering.
Okay.
You must define your specific end destination first. Even if it's a rough approximation, you need a target coordinate. Once that coordinate is locked in, you become absolutely ruthless about your inputs.
So you stop crowdsourcing your life choices.
Exactly. You ignore the general opinions of well-meaning friends and family. You only accept advice, feedback, and strategies from people who have successfully navigated the specific path toward your chosen coordinate.
That makes a lot of sense.
You don't need to consume every business book or listen to every podcast. You find one high-quality input that solves your immediate bottleneck, you implement it, and you ignore everything else until you hit the next hurdle.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Yeah.
Because to successfully execute that kind of ruthless filtering, To tune out the noise and forge your own path requires a foundational shift in how you view responsibility.
Ah.
You have to adopt a state of radical ownership, which means completely abandoning the habit of passing the blame.
And the author anchors this concept with a profound Chinese proverb.
I love this one.
The man who blames others has a long way to go on his journey. The man who blames himself is halfway there. The man who blames no one has already arrived.
To illustrate the mechanics of this, he asks us to imagine two objects, a magnifying glass and a mirror.
Right.
Every time you encounter a setback, a failure, or a moment of friction, you are making a subconscious choice about which object to pick up.
And when you pick up the magnifying glass, you are utilizing a cognitive off-ramp. You are hyper-focusing on external variables to explain your lack of progress.
Like you miss a deadline, and through the magnifying glass, it's because your client didn't reply to an email fast enough.
Exactly.
You are late to a meeting, and it's the traffic's fault, conveniently ignoring the fact that you hit snooze 3 times before leaving the house.
Right. And the insidious danger of the magnifying glass is how it compounds over time. When your brain gets rewarded with the relief of not being at fault for small things, it scales that mechanism up to your macro worldview.
Suddenly, you are looking through the glass and declaring that the entire economic system is rigged against you.
Or your industry's too saturated.
Or the algorithm is shadow banning your content.
Yes. You construct a reality where you are just a passive victim of your circumstances. And if you are a victim, you have no agency to change the outcome.
The alternative is choosing to pick up the mirror.
Yes.
The mirror forces you to examine the only variables in the universe you have total jurisdiction over: your own daily actions, your own work ethic, and your own emotional regulation.
But choosing the mirror is incredibly uncomfortable because it means admitting your own inadequacies.
Exactly. If a client fires you, the mirror forces you to admit your communication was poor or your deliverable was subpar.
Which hurts.
It does. But that discomfort is the exact mechanism of growth. If the failure is your fault, it means you possess the power to fix it for the next time. Picking up the mirror is how you become the person who has already arrived in that proverb. You become entirely self-reliant.
And applying the mirror, filtering your inputs, and choosing the difficult path of acquiring skills all share a common denominator.
What's that?
They require a high tolerance for discomfort, which brings us to the final and perhaps most pervasive hurdle in the framework.
The comfort zone.
Yes, the comfort zone.
Now, the comfort zone is generally discussed as a place of stagnation. But based on the source material, I think we need to view it as an actively decaying asset.
I agree.
The world, the market, and technology are constantly moving forward. If you are staying static inside your comfort zone, you aren't just standing still. Your market value is actively dropping.
And the data on this is striking.
Yeah.
The source cites studies indicating that over half of British people never take steps to leave their comfort zone.
Wow, over half.
Yeah. They prioritize security over expansion. Yet, simultaneously, 45% of them carry a persistent anxiety that they will deeply regret playing it safe.
That's heartbreaking, really. And the author's entire biography is a blueprint of someone intentionally fighting that decay by repeatedly breaking the boundaries of his own comfort zone.
You can really track the expansion.
Yeah.
He starts in an academic environment where he is struggling and feels confined. He breaks that boundary by choosing the harsh environment of an apprenticeship.
That choice expands his operational reality.
Yeah.
But he refuses to stagnate there.
Right.
He pushes into unfamiliar territory by launching various side hustles.
Then he takes on significant financial leverage, securing a bank loan to launch a full-scale business.
And to optimize the margins of that business, he boards a plane to China to negotiate directly with manufacturers.
Operating completely outside his cultural and linguistic comfort zones.
Exactly. And he builds a massive, highly profitable enterprise. By all traditional metrics, he has won the game, he has security.
But security breeds complacency.
It does.
He realized his comfort zone was shrinking around him again. So, at 53 years old, an age when the vast majority of people are heavily incentivized to coast toward retirement, he shatters the boundary one more time.
He launches a YouTube channel.
Yes. He forces himself to learn a completely new digital medium, subjecting himself to public scrutiny and algorithmic feedback, all to distribute his accumulated knowledge.
Wow.
This raises an important question regarding the geometry of human potential.
Okay, listening.
The author notes that the territory outside your current comfort zone is infinite.
Right.
There is no ceiling to your capacity to learn, adapt, and build, but And this is the foundational truth of the entire framework you have to actively claim that territory for yourself.
No one is going to expand the perimeter for you.
Exactly. If you refuse to step into the friction, you are leaving an infinite number of possible lives on the table, lives that could have belonged to you.
That is a profound lens through which to view your daily decisions.
It really is.
As we synthesize this entire deep dive, the core ethos of this self-made millionaire's framework isn't really about what you proactively do to get rich.
Right.
It is a rigorous discipline of avoidance. It is about what you actively refuse to do.
It's recognizing the behavioral traps before they snap shut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You avoid the plateau of easy money by committing to the difficult acquisition of compounding skills.
Yes.
You reject the psychological trap of the flexing game, choosing quiet accumulation over loud depreciating assets. You refuse to let arrogance blind you to the bottom of the iceberg, ensuring you remain curious enough to leverage the power of a collective.
Right.
You ruthlessly filter the noise of useless opinions to prevent decision paralysis. You throw away the magnifying glass of blame and stare directly into the mirror of radical ownership.
Beautifully said.
And you constantly, relentlessly fight the decay of your own comfort zone. By avoiding those traps, you inevitably forge yourself into your own greatest asset.
It is a phenomenal behavioral masterclass.
It really is.
And it leaves us with a lingering challenge based directly on the mechanics we've unpacked today.
Okay.
The author noted that the infinite space outside your comfort zone must be actively claimed. So we want to turn the mirror toward you, the listener. Look at the architecture of your life right now. What is the very next smallest ring of your personal comfort zone that you are terrified to step into?
That's a great question.
And what would it look like if you claimed that territory today?
Think about that 16-year-old kid walking out of school with absolutely nothing but the willingness to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The tools for exponential change are literally in your hands. Or, as we learned today, they're in your mirror.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.